Okay, so in part one, we started fixing the sharp pocket computer, and I concentrated on getting the LCD replaced in the actual pocket computer itself. So there it is, running nicely, and tested it out, and you can run little programs. It's not the best keyboard on the planet, but you know, it certainly does the job. But part two, oh, by the way, and part one, of course, will be linked in here and in the descriptions below. But this one here is now to look at the base unit. And I don't know what state the base unit is in, but what I'm pretty sure is that the rechargeable batteries don't work, and almost certainly the tape drives need replacing. Might need to recap things, I'm not sure. So let's start off by taking it apart and seeing what we have inside. Right, so tape recorder, printer, interface for the pocket computer. Let's just get the tape out of there. It is of course a mini tape. Let's get probably the printer paper out. This is thermal printer paper. Right, let's put that safely in its little container.
This was a little bit fiddly to get apart, but with some plastic prizing tools I managed to get the top off in the end.
Okay, so that's interesting. That printer's actually flapping around in there, which is quite unusual, I would have thought. But there we go, there's the inside of the tape deck. It looks very, very clean.
So let's have a look at some of these chips. This is the printer control unit, which is a custom sharp chip, so no data sheets on that. This is the tacker generator, and it helps control the supply voltage to the motor while the print head causes fluctuations in the power supply. Then there's the op amp for tape deck record and play. And lastly, a dual multi-vibrator, which is the control for the cassette motor. This area is the low battery voltage section, along with the power supply down here. And then, of course, the printer unit, battery and cassette mechanism.
Right, so we've got a battery here, which looks smaller than that. These look...
no, they're exactly the same size.
Full AA's, and these are... and this battery is 4.8 volts at 1 amp hour, and this one is 4.8 at 500 milliamps. So we'll be all right with that, it'll work. We've got the tape deck over here. I'm not going to take that out just yet because I think what I want to do is make sure the electronics are up and running first. I do have some spare belt drives for the tape deck, which I hope will fit. We've got the printer interface over here, so we can actually get the printer out. But actually, like I said, I think I am going to just plug in. So I'm going to use my power supply, my Rigel power supply, because I can limit the current, which I think will be good. It does make a bit of a noise. And I think, does this say...
So this is the bit where I really should be listening to myself as I chatter along here, because this is the start of a very, very long rabbit hole, which you'll be pleased to hear I won't take you down.
Really, it was only Spectrum that did it backwards.
Nope, they weren't the only ones.
I'm going to set the Rigel 5 volts. I'm going to set this to, what did it say? 4.8, did it say?
Okay, I'm going to voice over from this point for a bit and save you the trouble of the massive rabbit hole that I went through. And I'm just going to go through what I found and what I discovered and skip out the hours and hours and hours that I scratched my head. Okay, first issue was input voltage. The back of the device says 4.8 volts. And while it does say to use adapter EA32E, what it doesn't tell you is that adapter is actually 8.5 volts. And not even in the manual does it tell you that it's 8.5 volts. I only discovered the 8.5 volts when I looked up the adapter on eBay to see if I could buy one. And to my horror, also saw that it was center negative and not center positive like most devices these days. This was not that uncommon for devices in those days, and in fact some devices like the ZX Spectrum and ZX81 are polarized this way as well. Fortunately, plugging in the wrong polarity didn't seem to cause any magic smoke. At least the low battery light was coming on, which I expected, as I assumed that the battery would be very old and probably dead. However, I expected that once the DC power supply was put in that the low battery light would go down, or at least I'd start seeing things working properly. And measuring the voltage in the old battery, in the original battery, it was sitting at 4.7 above voltage anyway, so I was not expecting the low battery light to be on. And this led me to the schematic, which was a very confusing part, and I spent a huge amount of time trying to decipher what was going on. Now, fortunately, with all electronics done in those days, the service manual has a full circuit diagram and everything in its PCB layouts and so forth. But there were a couple of issues with this one. And the first issue was that when I was measuring voltages and looking around at the schematic, it all seemed to be backwards. And this is where I thought maybe I had blown the system by having the wrong polarity in the beginning. This is the power regulation part of the circuit. And what got me was the positive and negative of the circuit diagram. So here is the power in, and you can see the center negative, but it's this bit that caught me off guard. As you can see, G and D, ground, is connected to plus, and VP, which I assumed was voltage positive, is connected to ground. And knowing this, the rest of the diagram starts to make sense, and everything that was looking upside down is correctly upside down because positive is negative and negative is positive. So this is what they call a positive chassis as opposed to a negative chassis, which apparently was also fairly common in those days, especially with systems with tape decks. Now the main issue here was the low voltage light, which just wouldn't go off even after 15 hours of charging, which is what the manual said you must charge for. This was with the original battery, so I cut the lines to that and I just wired in the new one without actually putting it in place. And still, even after 15 hours of charging, the low battery light just would not go off. So I assumed there must be something wrong with the low battery circuitry, and I must have blown it, or over time it's not working anymore. So this is the low battery circuit, although the LED indicator driver is up here. Now, I'm not going to go into this too deeply on this video, but basically when the voltage is low, it causes this transistor to come on, which switches this transistor off, which brings this line low, which switches this transistor on, which allows the LED to glow. So when the battery line is low, it essentially starves power out of this transistor, which in turn switches off power to the printer circuit. Now, I think I understood that circuit correctly. And I tested the voltages around the transistors, did in-circuit testing of the transistors with the power disconnected. Everything looked fine. There didn't seem to be anything blown, but still it just would not work. Until suddenly the light went out and it started working. And nothing else changed. The battery hadn't been recharged or anything. The only thing I can think of is that something slightly loose, or maybe something was slightly dirty, or something wasn't quite right just from a mechanical point of view. But I really don't like it when this happens because I don't know why it started working, and that means the problem is still there. So I'm going to leave it for now because it works, and at some stage if it stops working again, I'll have another look. So now, after all that head scratching, back to the rest of the device. So first, to get the tape deck out, because I need to see what the drive belts are like, and they more than likely need replacing.
So, okay, so we've got, that'll be, oh, did you see that? That's not what I wanted to see at all. Let's definitely wreck that one. Get this off. So that's definitely wrecked belts, and they definitely need replacing. Fortunately, I have new belts. Now,
I hadn't noticed that the camera had stopped recording, so there's a whole bit missing over here. The drive belts that I bought turned out not to be the right size, except for one of them, which was the tape counter one. That was fine. The other one was the right size for the main drive, but it was too thick.
I definitely need 1 mil, so I think I will try to buy another one. It does seem to work, but I don't like that it's too thick. I don't know whether it's going to just catch on a bit of the edges in some places. So I think I'll try and buy another one of those at a better, a thinner belt. This one seems to be fine. I'll replace that. And this one here, also the belt size isn't quite correct.
So I decided to try the belts out and see whether they worked or not, and whether that belt would be catching on the end and causing a problem.
So if we put the tape in, and we press play, something happens, which is good. Okay, so let's just have a look here now. I'm going to type in here, you're not reading well to see it, I'm going to type in here C load, which I think is the correct thing. I'm going to press enter, it says busy, and I say play. So, does it say something? I have no idea whether this tape works or not, or even how long it takes to load something in, if there's something there. Ooh. Oh, okay. I'm assuming that is the sound of data coming in. Yep. Can you hear that? That's good news. It means something's going in. I like that. Question is, what, if anything, is going in? That's stopped. It's still saying busy. Let's go on to remote control. So we do play at that point. And then we say see load. In theory, it should tell it to switch on. It does. So that's good. We know that that remote control side is working. What I would expect to see is an error that comes up because there should be a header. It should expect a header. And what I would expect to see is the name of the program, and then say it's loading or something, and that's a fairly basic bit of operation, and most of my old 8-bit computers from the same era do that. It should be easy enough to do that. So I'm going to give the head a quick clean. Just had a look online at some other people loading videos on here, and it looks like what happens that when, at least when you get the header, or it's happy that there's a program, there's an asterisk that appears here. And then it loads the program, and the busy disappears when it's done, which is kind of what you'd expect. But obviously that's not happening here, and I don't know what's on the tape. Most people's tapes look exactly like this one, and I don't know if this is what came. Well, it is the sharp one. Oh, application software, so it says. But it's not loading anything, and it's either going to be the speed of the tape, heads are really dirty, or the belts are not working. And it was sounding a little, or the tape could be wrecked. So I should get a much better tone and sound out of the whole thing. I'm going to just give a bit of a clean in here. I'm not getting any dirt off the head, so the head is probably fine. I'm going to guess that it is the belts. I'm not happy with the belts. See, that doesn't really sound very good. The belt that I had for the tape deck was a bit big. It was a bit thick, and I think it's catching on the sides. So the tape deck's not sounding pretty good when trying to load or save anything. So I bought some new ones. The thinnest ones I could get were 1mm, which I'm hoping will be all right. 35mm and a 40mm, which is what is supposed to work with these. So let's pull this tape deck out again, put it down there. Now you can see this belt here is pretty big. And I'd used the smaller belt that was originally around here on here. So I'm going to replace both of those, which hopefully will be the right one. This 50mm one I think is fine. I've replaced that with a new belt, and I think that is fine. I haven't got to worry about that one. Quite a thick cable, can you see that? Compared to the original, which is a lot thinner. So let's take the 35mm one. This comes in a good bit of cardboard there. Probably pay more for the packaging than the actual belt itself. But there you go. This is from Deck Tech, and this was off eBay. It is a bit of a thinner belt. It's not. I really would like to get something a little bit thinner than that. I'm probably going to have to be a bit happier with having a belt that's not quite 35mm. There we go. Actually, that feels a bit better. I don't think. It's a bit hard to tell. You've got this screw here, which is the spring to hold the tape in tight, and that is actually, I can see that that's fine. That's not touching on the inside here. It is right at that point. So of course, if this belt is too big, that's not going to work. But I think that feels all right. That feels better. So let's get the 40mm one out, which is the one that should be on the main motor drive. There we go. Let's see whether, I think that should be all right. And of course this 50mm one, I'm being a bit pedantic about the diameter sizes.
Now to install the tape drive again.
Okay, so new belt's in, and in theory that should work. So let's go and let's put the application software back in and see whether we're still good with that. So we are off remote control, so I can rewind that and I'll put that back into remote control, and I put C load here. And that should load whatever's coming first. Enter, can hear the relay click, and press play. I think that sounds a bit better. I definitely think that sounds better. And we're still not getting any indication that anything's happening, and I think, oh, okay, that's done something. So if I say list now, there we go, it's working. So that's what it was actually, was that the first belt that I put in was just too big, and it would have been catching on that screw at the back there, which is very, very close to the belt. So that I'm happy with, that seems to work. So what I need to do is I need to take that battery out and put the new battery in.
So just to cut the wires to the right lengths, get some heat shrink on, solder it up.
Nice and neat and tidy, which is what I want. Get that out of the way before it shorts anything. Let's get that back in. Right, what else do we need to do here? We have got, there's no cleaning that needs to be done in here. There's no corrosion or anything that I can see. Maybe there's a little bit of something over here. I'm not quite sure what that is, so I think I'll just give that a quick bit of clean with some alcohol. Otherwise, I think that kind of looks all right. I was going to give all the contacts here on the tape deck a clean, but actually I think they're working all right. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay, so I didn't record this bit because I was messing around, but as you can see, printer is now working. And the only thing that's really changed is I have put a new battery in.
So now just to put it all back together.
Right, let's test the first part of this. So we slot this back in, like that. I'm not going to plug in yet, we're just going to test the tape again. I am rewound. C load. And we should hear the beautiful sound of digital data. Here we go. Sounds good. There we go. Right, there it is. So if we say run whatever program that is, back into run. Starting point 5, why not? Minute interval 2. Some other interval 4. Busy, 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 busy. Oh, there we go. We got an answer of 2.00034 for some other reason, whatever that means.
So I realized, just having tested the loading function, I hadn't tested the saving function, which in theory should work, but you never know. So silly little program going in here, and see if the tape works.
Run 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And a beep. Okay, so we've got that. Let's put remote control on, and let's say save. Test 1. And going to record. So that'll be the long lead-in tone. The actual program. Which is longer than I thought. And it stops. Okay. Stop there. It's a bit annoying that I have to do that. Anyway, maybe that's less of a point. So now I can say C load question mark, which should do a verify against that. So if I say play and enter, don't know how in focus all of that is. There we go. I'm assuming no error means that it worked. But there we go. Okay, I've just got to test the printer again, which I'm pretty sure works. So I'll have to come back to that. Printer works.
So the only thing now is to give the case a bit of a clean, and it's job done.
Just doing an alcohol clean. I probably could do a soap clean on this actually, but I might still have to do that actually. There we go. There we go. A little bit cleaner.
So that's been quite an adventure, but I managed to get it all working. And let's play out with the beautiful sound of a tape loading.